Alright, so I played Warframe a lot this past few weeks, and it had a pretty major update. That update follows a recent trend, in my opinion, of a pragmatic approach to the game design, but not necessarily very creative. So two updates prior to this, I'll just call them by the related frames, Varuna and Citrin, those both used the existing game modes, Survival and Defense, as foundations for their respective updates. Survival added random frags units and a ghost which walks around and provides Warframe stat buffs. Citrin offers a timer-based defense with collectible items which give resources and boost the defense target. Also there's a wonky tile set, but that's not exactly a big appeal. Also, both had respective currencies which significantly reduce randomness of the farm, which is something to praise as well. So, Duviri. First, there's a new open world, a somewhat clunky one as it's not for Warframes and instead intended for drifters, although there's an upgrade for temporary Warframe usage later on. But at least there's a horse, which is still worse than Warframes. So, there the enemies are slow and a lot less dangerous than in the main game, and this feels honestly like a beta test for an upcoming game with a very imaginative name. Sarcasm. It's exposing the problems with the Warframe combat. It's fast-paced, not very accurate and not very difficult. It's almost more of a hack and slash or an action RPG like Diablo than a shooter. Precision is not rewarded, and in fact it's not even reliable. And it's so much more obvious here. The axe enemies in Duviri frequently miss their attacks because the hitboxes are wonky, dance around randomly because they're stupid, and sometimes can string together stunlock attacks because that sort of thing is difficult to balance. It just does not work in Warframe. A change of pace is okay, especially since it's just the first foray into it. A little detour from the main game, but this style of melee just does not fit here. Maybe with a lot, and I do mean a lot, of work. But the good though. Duviri offers another thing, and this one is what my first point was about. Undercroft, or the Circuit, uses the existing game modes Defense and Exterminate, Survival, or whatever else, and cycles through those at random, offering rewards every time. This makes it so that every mission feels a lot more varied, but that's not all. The loadout for every Duviri run are randomized. And sometimes the items on offer the player might not even have, although it usually tries to at least pick something from the inventory. This randomness is honestly my favorite part, because it made me rediscover the game and realize that there is more to it than just messing around with the same 2 free frames and a handful of weapons. I had to adapt and try to use what I've had at hand, but that's not all either. Every time an objective is completed in Duviri, a random buff is given. The player is offered 3 or 4 with an upgrade, choices such as more critical damage, toxic explosions or roll-in, melee attack speed and crits, and much more. This makes every run much more unique, as it's possible to get Baruch with a lot of melee buffs, so I just used 4 and one-shot enemies in the steel path. Absolutely nuts. Enemies also go up in levels faster than ever, so it becomes a lot more difficult and a lot faster than anywhere else in the game. This I strongly praise, utilizing what's already in the game and mixing it all up into something new. But another system is making a return here, Incarnon. An absolutely overpowered set of weapons from the Zariman. Now, though, there are adapters which offer a slightly smaller version of those for some older weapons, like Bronco, Buston, or Torrid. And some of those are absolutely nuts, making pretty bad weapons in the top tier. So far enjoying this a lot as well, making me rediscover all the weapons and forcing me to consider expanding my collection, instead of tossing everything away after leveling it to 30. It's also nice to note what these rewards are on a set timer, tied to circuit progression instead of being random drops. So, all in all, I'd say that the update failed to actually deliver anything completely new. I did not enjoy the world of Duviri itself. I did not like those random little objectives around the map. Most of them are too simple and got old really fast. Worm fight is fun and a few times at first, but catching the damn thing is a slog, and the first try I've had it took over 10 minutes to figure out what am I even supposed to do here. And after that it was just a little tedious and fairly easy. So, it's sloppy and not that good, but it's a first step. It's a foundation for something much better in the future. Hopefully, at least. However, the reused content, the circuit with the incarnons, now that is something that made me enjoy the game quite a bit more. Almost like offering me a way to play the game all over again. Through a completely new perspective. Trying to improve every item in my inventory, so hopefully the next run becomes that much better.